Take one.
Except, okay. Central Florida Computer Society, Tech-SIG. It is August 27. There's one face that I don't recognize. Welcome. How did you hear about us?
I've known about the group for a while. I've gone to the Windows SIG, and I used to work with Arvin. So I've known about the group. I just have never made to this SIG before.
Did you been to the main meeting?
I've been to the Windows SIG, and then there are 2 meetings that are on a Sunday. And I've been to both of those. I'm Donna Davis.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You made it? Okay. All right, I'm going to go call Ted. And why don't we start with Mr. Farney? We go around the room. There's no speaker, no set topic. We just show our toys and gadgets, and we'll be right back.
Hi all, I don't really have anything to show tonight. I'm selling some things, so if you're interested when it's all over or whenever, you can take a look.
Are they tech things?
Yes, they are.
Well, then show us your
Okay.
toys.
All right. I have a Samsung Galaxy S3 watch. I have a Uniden radar detector and a Samsung Note 9 phone and a Defender case to go with it. And that's what I have.
And why don't you tell us why you have that Samsung to sell?
Well,
Show us what replaced it if it's on your.
yeah, it is. And what I found out, the only difference between this watch and the one I have on is that's not the bezel. The case is different. I thought it was a completely different watch. It's not. So they're actually the same style watch. So I don't have a need for 2 watches, so I thought I'd sell the other one. And then I have a step down Uniden. I tend to buy things when I do. I jump on the upgrade, so they've come out with a newer model, which I have. It has some more features to it. So these all have very little use, really. The Note 9, they just came out with the Samsung Note 10 Plus. I bought that. I no longer need the Note 9, Galaxy Note 9 phone. So I try to curb my addiction by selling the previous models. And it's hard to do, believe me.
What provider is that?
It's
thing?
T-Mobile, but I understood here recently, other than maybe 1 or 2, you can pretty much use, as long as it takes a chip, you can go to a different provider.
How much?
How much is the phone? I'd give a TechSIG price, but I have it on offer up for $875. It was a $1,500 phone when I bought it.
Isn't it amazing what phones are going for these days?
Yes, it is. But I watched a guy take the Note 10 apart online. The technology in there is amazing. It's so tiny. It's probably not a tech word for it, but it's very compact, and there's so much technology in these phones. After seeing that, it doesn't surprise me why they're so expensive.
We'll talk.
Done?
I'm done, sir. Thank you.
Paul, you're up.
Okay, well, I've got this, a lot of you probably know about this little gadget here. This plugs into your ALDL.
Okay, wait, can I interrupt? Sean needs the Zoom number.
Okay, tell Sean, I just sent.
I know, he says,
Still doesn't
no,
have
he
it?
still doesn't have it.
Meeting ID, 796
796
174
174
458.
458.
Okay, so a lot of you probably know about plugging these into your into ALDL connectors and getting data. This is different. What is different about it is that everybody knows what a code reader is for OBD2 codes, and people knows what scanners are. They're an upgraded code reader that'll give you extra data it'll graph stuff. It'll give you fuel ratio. It'll give you oxygen sensor information. And then, which I own a scanner, a very good scanner. And then you've got the professional stuff that the mechanics use that can get a lot more information out of the transmission, the engine, and the body of the car. I've got a Subaru, and to do some specific maintenance on it, I need to know transmission oil temperature, which basically is not a function of a scanner, no matter how much money you pay to get that scanner from a regular store. You need a professional scanner, which costs thousands of dollars. This costs $30 or $35, something like that. And it's specifically designed for Subaru. And it only works on an Android phone. And there's a specific program that you download to the phone, and then I can read specific temperatures of the engine and transmission in order to do some specific maintenance I want to do. And without this, I couldn't do it. Now, this also works with other applications. The instruction says you can download this app called Obd Link, which is not the one that I am using. I'm using one specifically for Subaru, and I didn't bring the Android phone with me, basically because there's nothing to see, because I can't power this up, so you can't really see anything. So you can download the apps at any time and open them up, but they just sit there. And so I haven't used it to do my maintenance function yet, but I've used it to test it out several times, and it really works very well. I've only looked at one small window of its functionality, which is the one I'm interested in, but it works with a lot of other apps. It shows you different things on the car. Now, what people also use these for is the cars of today have no gauges. They got a bunch of idiot lights and icons. When they light up when you're driving, you don't know really what they mean unless you've got the book with you or a copy of the page out of the book. So what people do is they leave this plugged into their car, and they bring up the app, and then you can see oil temperature, engine temperature, water temperature, and in some of the basic things that we're used to looking at analog gauges over the last few years, last 50 years. So that's how a lot of people are using it. But I'm not really going to use it like that currently. Another feature it's got an anti-hacking feature. So when you want to pair this to your application in your phone, it doesn't give out the signal 100% of the time. When you want to pair it, you press this little button, and it turns on the pairing feature for about a minute or two, and then you can pair it, and then it goes away. So nobody can just hack in and take over your car if that's a term that they want to use.
Sean would want to know what that device is called, what brand it is, or what it is.
Is anyone willing to try to take notes of what's going on? I'm not.
It's being recorded.
Yeah.
And then I'll.
I didn't get enough of it to get to the website.
This is called Obd Link Lx, and the Lx is an important suffix of the part number. Obd Link Lx. There is another one. Now this just works on Android, and but there's another one that's got another. It's black, and it does some other things. It's much more expensive, and I think it works on iPhones, but it's, as I was watching a video, the guy actually said it's cheaper to buy a cheap Android phone than to buy one for the iPhone. So
Big models, like if I wanted, I could put in a camera, so I could get the modules for that too. You said that only works on. a
Right,
Subaru.
no, well, from what now, I've only used it on a Subaru, but I believe it works on other cars also.
Okay.
I just haven't gone there yet.
Okay.
And, but it works with our other apps for different kinds of data. I think a lot of the data is kind of basic, you know, just engine performance data.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it graphs anything. That would have to be a function of the application.
Okay.
So it does exactly what I want it to do. I bought it for a specific function, and but I just haven't really used it to the full extent of its capability yet.
She has a question.
I have a question because I actually had been considering buying a tool like that. I've done some research. You've used it for a while, and you sound like you're happy with it. Okay, you're a car guy. Okay.
Did it tell you was
Well, I
dead?
own a car, so. But I have considered, because I saw an article that talked about being able to plug that in, especially when you take your car in and they're telling you something and you're not real sure that you're getting the.
There are a lot of these on the market that that will give you the codes. If you got a code, and a lot of people use these with their phone with the apps. And but there's a lot of different. This does a specific function that I bought this for.
Made you decide on it? Did you have good reviews or anything, or did it like have Amazon reviews on it or anything, or?
I found this in a YouTube. I was looking for how to do this,
Okay.
and this is the YouTube that came up. And I did a lot of other investigating, and there was no other avenues. This was it for what I wanted to do. Now, there's a lot of other boxes that'll give you engine performance data. That'll probably work with iPhones, I guess, as well as Android phones. And a lot of people want to see some engine performance while they're driving on their phone. You know, they got it on the windshield, they got the iPhone mounted and they drive around. I prefer to, if I want to know something about a car, to fix a car, personally, I'm not going to pick one of these up because I'm a car guy. I'm a car guy, so I'll pick up my scanner. I'll pick up my $250 scanner, and I'll use that because that will give me all the codes. I can clear codes. It tells me a lot of information about it. So, you know, I'll pick up a good scanner. And now I have a code reader also, but it just gives you codes. Doesn't give you any additional information. But my scanner will, you know, it's a pretty good scanner for a consumer type scanner, and it'll give you a lot of stuff. You can buy a code reader, which is probably as easier to use than this. Buy a code reader from Harbor Freight, from AutoZone for probably under $30 or $30, not a lot of money, you know, and it'll give you the codes. They're very simple to use, and you at least know the codes. You can go on the internet with the code and look it up, and it'll give you possible problems, possible causes of that problem. So that at least gives you a start. It doesn't give you the answer. Sometimes it just gives you an area, but at least it gives you, you know, what you're looking at.
Well, it sounds like it's a good investment. I've been concerned about, you know, if I spend the money and the prices are all over the place when you go out there and research them. So it's good info. Thank
Let us
you.
know how it works. Let us know how it works.
It works fine.
Okay, you say you have, okay.
I have uses that I wanted to use it for. I just haven't.
What's wrong with your car and got it fixed and everything?
Well, anything wrong with it.
I thought you said it was 10.
No.
Okay.
No, it runs fine. This is just for preventive maintenance. To do
You have to ask Paul which of the 5 cars he's talking
Oh.
about.
Yeah, I bought this specifically for the Subaru. But if I want to work on my other cars, I'll pick up my scanner, and I'll use that.
Can you actually send the data off that to a log file so you can like get a printout or get a file of the performance over a period of time? Do you get any, how's the data manipulated? Am I actually able to?
Well, if you've got a code, the code will come up. Now, my scanner will actually record the code. I can actually go back to my computer and print it out. A lot of them won't do that. I bought an upgraded scanner. I wanted something really good. So, but a lot of them will just give you the code, and it'll give you, some of them will give you possible causes right there in the firmware of the scanner. And then you can clear the codes, look at the codes.
Quick question. You're measuring the temperature of the oil in the transmission. That requires some sort of transducer. Is one built in?
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't have, that doesn't have a transducer in it. You're just plugging that into one that already exists in the car.
This will see that transducer in the transmission. Regular scanners that you buy from the store don't have those capabilities. Those capabilities are in the professional scanners that mechanics use.
You know, we can measure anything. You gotta have a transducer.
Right.
And I was curious how they did it. Because a lot of it are just like thermostats. That's the cheapest way to measure temperatures. If it gets too high, you close it. If it gets too low.
They wanted to do this maintenance function specifically rather than with a thermometer or a heat gun.
Right.
Not a heat gun, a IR gun. They don't want you to use that because it's probably not accurate enough. They want it done a certain way. So I'll do it a certain
Now you
way.
can do it. Outstanding, outstanding.
I'm still a bit confused because any of the gauges that are in the older cars, like I used to have, fuel, temperature, on my newer car with all this electronic stuff, I can't figure out how to get the gas mileage, the trip mileage, for example. I got to press this button 3 times and that one 6. So will that do the?
No, those are consumer functions. Yeah. You need to read the operator's manual.
So is what you're measuring with it as well, isn't it?
No, that's not a consumer function. What he's talking about is a high-end maintenance function. Very high-end.
Oil temperature?
Oil temperature in a transmission to make adjustments. Yes. You're talking about almost aircraft capability here.
The data is there, it's just getting to it.
Getting an
Just
accurate
getting
reading.
to it. And there's no way to get to it except for this little piece of gear. That's it.
Figured out, right.
And it uses a special app, specific app to get to it. The other apps that work with this will not get to that piece of data.
What are the costs for that particular device? And if there's a cost for the app, what's the cost?
The app is free. You just download the app.
What does the device cost?
30 or 35.
And it communicates with Bluetooth.
If you need that, if you need to do what I'm doing, then this is for you. If you have a regular car and you just want to have a reader off the connector, there's 100 of these you can buy. There's all kinds of stuff on the market. And it requires a lot of research to, you got to read, what it does, what the capabilities of, and what apps it works with. So there's a lot of research to do before you grab one. But there's a lot of them on the market. And I'm sure they all do similar stuff.
Very good. All right, moving along, it's Bullard. You understand what we're doing? You have anything to share with us this evening, or are you just going to observe?
I know nothing.
Any questions about the technical stuff you've got, or your computers, or your phone?
Not yet. Thank
Okay,
you anyway.
Mike Leach, what do you got?
Same old question regarding internet service provider. I've been seeing on regular TV, commercial TV, Viasat, and I'm curious if anybody has tried it or has done anything with it. This is what I've got currently, what it shows, and then let's see if I've got. I was going to go to the other one right here also. That's another website of it. And it says exceed I don't know the relationship of the two. I haven't researched it satisfactorily. I've been with CenturyLink for a good while, and I'm ready to say goodbye. But Spectrum is also listed now at $44 if they mean what they say, which,
Yeah.
you know, don't package anything, get it straight up, I guess. That's the only way you can survive with Spectrum. You know, otherwise you'll throw equipment.
Did you say the speed? I missed the speed. What's the speed?
On Viasat, I'm not sure. I'm just curious if anyone has looked at it or has investigated it. It says definitely cut the cord. That's what they're saying. There's a lot of, so that's all I've got. Just asking if anyone has any idea on the subject.
Are they anywhere comparable to HughesNet?
Oh, I forgot about HughesNet.
Twice the price. It's very,
That's the difference. Twice the price, huh?
yeah. It's really for people who are not close to metropolis. So out in the middle of nowhere, you can get better reception than if you didn't have that, but not local people.
So it's why SpaceX and Amazon both want to have their constellation of internet satellites and go into the broadband business.
That's a couple of years off, isn't it? Yeah.
SpaceX.
I have something I'd like to share with you all. I have it on the screen, and I'm going to tell a senior moment on myself. I didn't even know this existed, and maybe it's only the latest version of Windows 10. But under mouse pointer, you can change the size and color. It's going up to, can you see how big that got? Look at that. So that would be great for Huey or anybody who's at this kind of a meeting. Look at the size of that thing. And you can change the color and do all sorts of things with it. So I think most of you know I do support some people who have computers, and sometimes they have problems. So I had a computer from a client that I've probably been taking care of her computer for many years. And it turned out the hard drive died. But that was after the motherboard died. So we didn't realize the hard drive was going to go. I took it to one of my suppliers who was able to match the motherboard with the same chipset, so we didn't have to reinstall Windows. We were trying to avoid that. So that worked perfectly. He put the new motherboard in, and one other funny thing that happened was the motherboard we were replacing, the original, had a built-in Wi-Fi, which is not typical for motherboards. But I said, it doesn't matter. She's hardwired into a router someplace. I don't know where, but I unplugged a network cable, so we don't have to worry about that. So I get it back to her place with the new motherboard, put the hard drive in, everything is fine. I plug the network cable in and nothing happens. I trace it to the other end, and the other end is just laying on the floor, not going anywhere. So that had been there for many years, apparently, and I didn't think to ask her. Anyway, I bought one of these little dongles, looks like a mouse dongle, for like 10, 15 bucks, put it in, worked perfectly. 2 weeks, then the motherboard dies. I mean, excuse me, the hard drive dies. So we do have to reinstall Windows. We got that done. I have to reinstall software, take it back to her place. Still a couple of problems. Bring it back to my place, and I plug it in, and this came up. I did that, except at the workstation where I have a keyboard and a mouse, and I just plug in a computer and hook it up. For some reason, everything was jittering. I couldn't make it stop jittering, so I couldn't get this back to normal size. When I tried to go back, it wouldn't stay. It took me, I had to go back to my supplier. Everything worked perfectly there. He said, it's either your mouse or your keyboard. Well, it turned out what it was. I had two keyboards there. One had a USB, one had a PS2. So even though this was a newer computer and motherboard, it still had a PS2 socket attached. And I had the two keyboards plugged in at the same time. As soon as I took out The PS2 one, everything went back to normal and it worked perfectly. But I thought that this is really quite. Are you getting a pic? You got a picture of that? I want Huey to see it. You can't miss that one for sure. Okay, I got a couple of more things, but Bob, good to see you. And you, are you eating or you?
Not yet, no. I have something I want to know what it is. I picked it up at an estate sale, and it looks like some kind of
Oh my God.
child's
It does, it's gonna go off.
child's training thing for little child terrorists. I don't know. I'll pass it
Have to
around.
learn early. But,
But who would, I don't know why they would sell that. It's,
yeah, you have to wonder.
but I don't know. Maybe it's some game,
It could be.
maybe out of a cartoon,
Well,
where
here's the connector
where
to
the
it.
where the
That's a lot of
rat,
batteries.
This
the
connects. to
Speedy Gonzales blows up the turtle or whatever.
Don't take it on a plane.
it. Yeah, I don't. Highly advise against that.
Has a little LCD panel on it, but I don't know. I never tried putting power. I don't even know.
Was that at
I don't know
Ollie's?
if I want to put
Pardon?
power to it.
At Ollie's? by any chance? Oh, you said it was.
No, I got it
at
at an estate sale, and it was just they didn't know what it was.
I don't know if I want to put power to it.
Anyway,
Blow up like that.
pass it around. Maybe somebody will figure out what it is. But I thought if it is it's got to be a toy.
Sure.
Why would somebody make and sell a toy in this day and age like that? It just seems. It looks like it made a noise. Yeah,
Do it again.
Don't set
Do it again.
Yeah.
It's got to be. Oh,
Lightweight TNT if it does.
Maybe if you press it a number of times, it'll go boom.
What's this for?
It connects into the
I have
handle.
no idea.
Right there.
There's no
USB.
directions.
Yeah.
Well, I
See the
suppose I
connector?
could have taken a picture of and looked. What's that Google program that searches for
Pictures?
Yeah, there you go.
Is that still?
Paul's gonna blow us all up.
Uh-oh.
I'm just wondering if we've got enough power.
Plug in your diagnostic tool in there and see what happens.
Anyway, I don't want.
Junior terrorist skip.
I don't want to be. Yeah,
Oh,
that's what it
jeez.
looks like. I think somebody.
I think they have to be knocking on your door.
Yeah, right.
Monitor that stuff.
It may be missing something. too.
There's a screw here. This opens up.
Battery.
Anything that may.
Yeah, let's not put that. Is that part of it? It's two pieces? Yes.
Okay, are we continuing?
Yes.
Okay, you have anything you would like to?
No, caught me with my mouth full.
Something.
It's my first time, so I'm kind of observing.
Not required.
What's your favorite program?
Your turn.
All right. I don't have anything. I didn't load anything this time to send. I was going through my library and I was rearranging some books, and I came across a book that was my Bible at one time. And some of you may be familiar with this. PC Magazine put this out. I think it's 1981. The copyright. Let me see.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, let's see, 1988. 1988. It's still a hell of a reference Bible for DOS commands and all sorts of DOS stuff.
The 80 codes in it.
It may. I don't know. You can take a look.
Who knows about a Z?
I'm gonna pass it around. I was pulling some of my notes out and I noticed I'd referenced the Tandy 1000 in here, so that kind of dated me a little bit. Yeah, it's, I used to, for about 5 years, I taught some computers. And this was a very handy tool for me to write batch files and things like that. It's really great. So anyway, it's a little blast from the past. I thought I'd pass it around. So I guess we can get 2 people eating here. We can pass that down to Bob there.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty much all I've got today.
The books that Bob
I did, and I told him I don't need any more. It's a great collection, but I've got some. I got stuff like this, you know. So
I'm gonna look it up.
But-
Look up the secret guide in here and see what's in here.
Oh yeah.
Bob, I have something that I brought that is related to what you talked about one time. This is a battery tester.
Yes.
And you just take the battery, you put, it's got 2 spots for a 9-volt, and this is a 1.5. So you put the plus there, and it's, you know, obviously no clamps or anything, and then you comes with a little probe and you put it there, and can you see the lights coming on? Okay, so it's a very simple, gives you a rough idea of the general battery. You were talking about buying something for $50 or $100. It was much. Did you ever get that?
Yeah, I think I brought it in, but I'll. Yeah, it's you know, it's one designed for a lot of different types of batteries, not just that, but a lot of different varieties of batteries. It load tests it. I don't
You
know
had
how
load
much
control too, didn't you?
Huh?
You had load control. Didn't you?
Not so much. I don't know if I had control.
No,
It was,
we did.
yeah, it was built in. It's a microprocessor-based tester.
Mhm.
And if you look back in the notes, you'll see it. But it was designed for, I put that in one of my articles for technicians to use, because what's happening now, you get the alarm technicians and stuff out in the field, they're running into a lot of wireless devices. They're running into wireless devices that go up the door sensors, and they got the remote sensors and stuff. They're all these, so they got button batteries, and then they've got 3.5, 1.5 volt, and then they've got the, so they're running into a lot of these now. So this is a nice tester, and it tells you what mine did was it would test the capacity. It would say it's like it's still got 60% capacity or 80% capacity. So it's a little more sophisticated than a light on, light off. So it would give you an idea of how good the battery is. But yeah, if you look back in the notes, you should be able to find that.
Well, I don't need anything out of
No. I know a lot of times you don't. In fact, before that, I used to have an old Radio Shack one that was great with a little needle on it. It would tell me.
I can't find one of those anymore, a simple one. That's not very sophisticated at all. I had a better one with 2 probes that they don't make anymore. I just
want a tester that puts a reasonable load on it and tells you what the capacity is.
I bought about 4 of these at Dollar Tree for $1.
There you go.
really.
Yeah.
And it has,
Recently?
has these little batteries in there, and
Sure.
what it is, that's the only problem right now is mine's not working and needs to have a small battery.
Yeah.
But anyhow, $1.
Yeah. Somebody was
Great.
somebody was
Right here.
getting. Somebody was
A
getting.
Sunbeam, you know.
You can peel that back.
That's it, that's it.
Well, I've done a lot of research. Like I said, I don't know, some might be a little, haven't seen me here before, but I write for the security industry, for the electronics. I write a monthly column called Tech Talk. It's in Security Sales and Integration Magazine. Cheap plug. So I write each month on it. So I write for technicians, and I write for tools that they could use that are good, reliable tools. And in fact, some of the gang kidded because this unit, this tester that I was talking about, has a battery in it. And they said, well, how do you test if the batteries? And it actually has a little button on it that tells you if your battery's good too. So, but it was actually a unit out of Germany, and they were in a patent infringement thing. And so it was something you can get it, but it takes a couple weeks to get here. It doesn't come straight through the Amazon, probably because of the patent or tariff conflicts. I had a question I like to pass around. I'm doing one of my personal projects right now is I ran across, how many are familiar with Gift of the Day? Gift of the Day, GOTD. You want to, no, Stan, you could bring that up.
Not the giveaway of the day, gift of the day.
Giveaway of the day.
Oh, yeah.
Giveaway of the day. Thank
Yes.
you. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm a pretty avid fan of that, and every once in a while I pick up a program. They usually give you a free, it's like a trial period, but it's like for a year or something. So you get some nice programs to try. One of them I had been using was a program called Easy Photo Deblur, DEBLUR. And what it was for me, I've got a lot of old family pictures. I've kind of been archiving them. And you remember the old black and whites that you used to take when you were a kid with a camera, you know, and you get the frame with the date on it and stuff, and you only get prints. You didn't get, you know. And I was using this program to sharpen them because a lot of those never came out quite too clear. And I was very impressed with how nicely it sharpened. But right now, I've been using that program, and I got that again through giveaway of the day. Did you bring that up, Stan? That everybody might be. If you're not familiar with it, this is a nice little website. Every day they have a different. You have a 24-hour period, and they have a different program up, and you usually pay for them. What I like, Stan, if you can go down, a little trick on this is I usually right away go to the download box. No, up, the green box, I think it is there. Proceed to download. And I'll go to that.
It's a game.
Oh, no, not the game. Right there. There you go. That one there. And what is it today? Oh, it's no, not join now. The proceed. There you go. And this is what I do. The reason I go to this is because I usually do it later in the day. Go down a little bit. You'll see thumbs up and thumbs down. You see the thumb, right there. You see the thumbs up, thumbs down?
Oh, yeah.
And you'll get a pretty good idea how popular this program is. So you might say, hey, a lot of people really like this program. Maybe I'll take a look at it. Sometimes it'll be like a couple hundred thumbs up and 5 thumbs down and say, wow, that's pretty popular. And then you can download it, and they usually have a little routine. They'll have a little README file, how they put the how you put the temporary code in. It's like you would with other trials, but this is not like a 30-day trial. Usually you get these and they're good for like a year.
Or longer.
Or longer.
Only one machine.
Only for one machine, but you can't do it on 2 separate. I put it on both my machines. You just use a different.
Once in a while, I can get away with it.
Yeah.
Much of the time, they prevent you from actually even loading it.
Yeah.
That's kind of frustrating.
Where it's 3 machines.
Yeah,
Or they'll say
it varies on the licenses. Sometimes they do
only
say
for a year.
for 3 machines or something like that. They do that sometimes. So it varies.
Did you get this one? This window repair?
No, I didn't get that. I'll do it every day because then I have.
So they have a.
But anyway, let me digress back to my deblur. So anyway, I'm using this program and I'm having a great time with taking old photographs that you kind of could barely make out your friends when you were kids, you know, and stuff. And you put this program on it, and it does a nice job without a lot of fiddling. See, a lot of graphics programs, if you know how to do all the settings, you can sharpen the images. But this does it nice and quickly for you. The only problem I ran into it is when you get slightly larger photographs, it would totally eat up my memory and lock up my computer.
Wow.
So it's got a downside that I don't like. So the bottom line of my question is, have any of you been, and I've done some hunting around and I have not been happy with what I found so far. Have any of you done similar projects where you've taken old family photographs and stuff and you sharpened them and made them so they're, more intelligible?
Yeah.
And what program did you use to do that?
Just Google Photos.
I've done a lot of Google.
Bunch of built-in editing tools.
I'm looking for people that have already used
more
something.
Professional. Yeah.
I'm looking for people that, and not, if you get too professional, it's got so many settings you got to take as a learning curve. So what I'm looking for is, I could Google too. Yeah, I did that. I've done a lot. I've been doing some research. I thought somebody here might have found a little, like I call diamond in the rough, that might work, and you've been happy with it.
What's that?
One, I use Photoshop, obviously.
Yeah.
Which is not easy to use if you
Yeah,
don't know
it's
how it
got
works, and it's not something I'd recommend to people that just want to sharpen photos.
Right. Yeah, this was nice because you
Photoshop
could
is
click
great.
on it and it would automatically
There is
sharpen it.
what's the free counterpart? Zip or something. There's a free counterpart to Photoshop that might do that.
I even went to alternative.
At SourceForge.net.
Is that okay? Because they have
Didn't find it there.
It works, as they tell me, a lot like Photoshop does.
yeah,
And Photoshop with several different kinds of defuzzing. But
I've already been there. GIMP.
GIMP, that's it. That should be in the GIMP.
It is, but I have not. Now, has anybody found GIMP is great if you go through all the different steps for each individual photo. What was nice with this program is I could click on it, run, and it sharpened it, boom, within a minute. You know, so it was all auto. It
Well,
was all
look for
built in the
one-
program.
Look for one called Unsharp Mask.
I already did that one.
Did you try
You
Earth
got
View?
to you got to set masks, and then you got to put the masks
No,
merge them together. and
Unsharp
stuff.
Mask, one button. One button.
I've got
Did
the
you try
Unsharp
Earth
mask
and View?
filter. Huh?
Hey, did you try Earth and View?
Earth and View?
Earth and View, yes.
How do you
That's an excellent.
how do you spell?
IRFANVIEW.
Hold it. IRFAN.
VIW.
Oh, VI.
W. Earth and View.
Yeah, I've got that program, but that
I
does
think it
not
does
have a
too.
sharpened filter on it.
Yeah, I think it
I
does.
didn't find one on it.
Get a
I use
new-
that all the
Get a
time.
new copy.
You're talking about InfraView.
Earth and View.
Earth and View, okay.
The name's after a guy that invented
It's a
Earth and.
photo manager.
A lot of things. It's a
Yeah.
photo manager. It makes photos,
I
it
use-
changes
Yeah, I use
photos,
that all. Okay, I'll take a look at that.
rescales them.
Anybody else got any also? Anybody done anything with that?
There's
Okay.
another one called ACDC, but I don't remember.
Oh, that's an oldie. That's been.
Yeah, I don't remember what that has in it. I
I
used to
haven't
use
looked
it.
at that in ages.
And the one that Google made for a while, and then they discontinued it, Picasa, used to have some
Yeah.
modes in it, but, and I don't know whether you can go back to the Wayback Machine and still get that.
Yeah.
It's on one of my computers. Yeah, I have it on one of my computers,
Yeah.
but I don't use it
Okay.
a lot. I like the way it kept track of photos. It's just a library.
Right. Okay, well, I just seeing if anybody had a little magical program that they used, so. All right, that's all I got.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I got two things, neither one of which I brought in. Well, I did bring one. I got a new cell phone. I want to assure everybody it makes phone calls.
What a concept.
Yeah, boy, I'm telling you.
I see people are-
it does everything except walk. But I don't care about that. I only want to make phone calls.
I see some people digressing.
Yes, it's Android.
I see some,
It's a Samsung something. S10, S9?
Does it have a stylus?
No.
So it's not a note.
It was the one under the, I'm not going to get something else I can lose. Because I would lose a stylus for sure. One, everybody knows, and I get rid of my Jeep, and because Jeeps weren't really what I wanted. I wanted a big car, and so I sent my wife out to drive all kinds of big cars, and she picked the Honda Odyssey, which is a huge thing. And it didn't have a navigator system in it, and I said, well, how much is a navigator system? He said, well, it'll be another $1,200. Okay. He said, you got a cell phone? Oh, yeah. He said, we'll just connect it to the car. I'll be darned. Doggonest thing you ever saw. Waze or Google Maps connects right to the car. You talk to it. Anything you do with the phone, you can do on there. It's the doggonest thing. I haven't tried movies yet because it's right in the front. I don't think it'll do it. But there's an app Honda makes that connects the phone to your car. There's a special USB plug for it. And it really, really works good. I was really impressed. Because, you know, my Jeeps in 2 years or almost 3 years, I put 8,000 miles on it. This one we're going to put some miles on because we'll drive it around. It holds both of our scooters and all the luggage and everything. So the other one I bought, which is trivial, but in the Jeep, I had a dash cam. Now, if you've never watched dash cam videos on YouTube, don't. Because they will drive you crazy. There's thousands of them, and every one is a little more interesting than the one you just watched.
Especially the ones from Russia.
And the Russians are the wildest. Those people drive crazy. And you look at some of it, and you know, how dumb can you be to do? People will actually run into each other because they're mad at each other. I'm mad at you, so I run into you. Really? Yeah, I'm crazy. And so it's really very strange. But I bought a dash cam. Bought two of them. I put one in front and I put one in the back this time because I like the ones where it shows the car hitting you in the butt. So but anyhow, what I wanted to point out was it's a real simple installation. All the wires are there with it, everything. And just put it in, takes 15 minutes maybe. You only just have to string the wires so you're not looking at them. But I think they're only like $25 or $26 a piece. And they're actually quite good. So I recommend that you do that. In Russia, you have to do that, I guess, because of insurance. Because nobody will believe you if you tell them something. A lot of the things that happen, you wouldn't believe in when you see them. But it's a good deal if you want to do that. They were on sale, and I think they're still on sale. If you can find it, they have them at Walmart. But I was impressed with what Honda had done. My wife drives a Lincoln, so when she drove the Honda and said that drove better than the Chrysler Pacifica and all the other cars that she tested, I was really surprised. But she said it really drives nice, and it really does.
I have a friend who has an older one that he just loves. He had it, I think it's 2009 or something like that, but he won't give it up.
It's really something. It's got gizmos on it. Yes, the doors are all automatic, they slide. And it's got a thing, it's called lane keeping. If you're driving along and you get out of your lane, it wheel shakes.
I've turned mine off.
Yeah, my wife does too. Well, if you can't stay in your lane, then I think we should leave it on. The other one is, it's got lane guidance, which you're going down the road on a highway above 45 and less than 90. You just push this button and it keeps it between the two white lines.
It allows you to go in the back and make a sandwich.
Or having sex. I've heard that's a bad one too. At my age, that's not a worry, but the idea of it, you could be in a situation. But they had, it works. It does. It's the 19. I just bought it.
It will also distance in front of you. You can be going 80 miles an hour, and if a car is too close to you, it'll slow you down. You don't have to do anything, it'll slow you down.
How far it goes. You can set the speed while you're talking, driving. You can set the reset the speed. Yeah, and I didn't think it would put on the brakes. I thought it would just take off the accelerator. It doesn't. It'll actually put on the brakes. If you get too close too fast, it brakes. And it's also got, I haven't tested this one. It's also got the one that won't let you run into somebody. If you're like on the commercial, she's taking care of the kids and looking at the car creeping forward, it stops it before it hits it.
Well, the problem is you got to get too close to determine that. My truck has it.
Does it?
And it'll stop you for sure. But that's too close. You're not.
I've never felt it to try it, but I'm really pleased with the car. It's a good car. It's lousy gas mileage, but with a car that size, you expect that. So all I can say is they've really advanced what's out there. And my wife's car isn't all that old. I think it's a 17. So it's really moved on the thing. So her big thing is, well, when I have to change the Lincoln, I want all that stuff too, so she can turn that off.
Actually, that's not an SUV. That's a
Yeah, I was gonna say.
minivan.
Yeah.
Minivan. And Dick Vogel just bought a Toyota Sienna, which is also a minivan, because he wanted all of the electronic stuff on there, and none of the other Toyota models had as many as the Sienna that he just got. But I know that his has a touch screen.
Yeah.
Does yours?
Yeah.
I see it was a touch screen without a navigator.
Yeah, it's a touch screen, just doesn't have a navigator.
Okay, so
Everything else, the things you want, you can talk to the car, just like you can Lincoln's. Sears Channel 76, and off it goes.
You were talking about the phone there, makes calls. I noticed there's a little movement going on. I don't know how big it'll get, but people are digressing from all the things the cell phones can do and all the craziness, and they're reverting back to flip phones. So we see people now saying, I just want to make phone calls. I got a flip phone. That's it. Yeah, just,
The downfall of having a navigator in your vehicle is when it comes time to renew it, it's like $200 or $300.
is that right?
Yes. But your phone, the phone company pays for your upgrades to keep your navigation software running. So that's a trade-off. I don't even use it. I have it in my truck and I don't even use it. I just use my phone.
One of the things about this whole thing is I'm not going to have a car that's not under warranty. So cars go 3 years and out in my family because I don't want my wife to have to worry about it, and I'm too old to worry about it too. So it's just I'm not worried about maintenance. If it quits, they come and get you to give you a new car and off you go. Not Jeep. Jeep, they don't care if your car's broken at all. They're not even interested. We bring it over when you can, you know. But if you drive a Lincoln or N car, their hair catches on fire when your car breaks, and they're out there within an hour and give you a new car, and here we'll fix that one. But
So you still get stuff for your $70,000.
yeah, I get bugged a lot. And like I tell my brother-in-law, if I couldn't afford the gasoline, I wouldn't buy a car that expensive. Okay, I think this is a phone, by the way.
One more car thing now that I think of it. This is a high-tech car thing from my 2014 Mitsubishi. This is the hazard light switch. It just sits there on the dash. When I first got the car, it was used, but I checked it all out. It worked. 2 weeks later, it stopped. So I had it into a dealer getting some other, there was a recall on the airbag, so I asked them to check it. So they did, and they said the switch was defective. So this is the switch. It was $93. They don't stock them. AutoZone, you know, discount. Nobody else had it. I have a guy who took it apart to rebuild it. There are contacts in there. Nothing was corroded. He couldn't repair it. And to put it in, they wanted either $60 to $150, depending on whether they had to take the radio out. So my guy, it doesn't require the radio. There's a panel above the radio that he used like guitar picks, like you were taking apart a cell phone. And he pried off this thing, and this is, it looks like a computer fitting. It took him 3 minutes. I got one, and by the way, they didn't stock it. And the Mitsubishi dealer on 1792, also a Kia dealer, their policy is if they don't stock the part, they won't order it for you unless you pay for it first.
That's very common.
I'm sorry, it is?
That's very common in a lot of dealerships.
Well, I hadn't realized that, but I paid them for it. And then they said you have 30 days to pick it up. If you don't pick it up within 30 days, you already paid for it, but we're going to ship it out. So I picked it up, and the guy took 5 minutes to put it in, and now I have flashers. So very simple. You know, it used to be you could get a switch for stuff like that and fix it yourself, but it's getting much more complicated. Yes, Bob.
I was going to say, it's future reference. In the old days, when I used to fix my own cars and stuff like that, you can go to a boneyard, go to a scrapyard. They'll pull it out. They might charge you $10 to pull it out, but you know.
Some of them on the east side are free. You just go in.
So you pull it, and I have found stuff on the Toyota, but the Mitsubishi is too new, too rare. They don't have them, and I don't know. Just they don't make it easy.
Some of those guys are network too, so they might not have it, but they go on their network.
There's a South Carolina, you pull, you pay.
Yeah.
It's like a national, you know, but it's a massive area. You go out and you pull it, you pay it. They give you a cart, you go out there and do your thing. But that's the name of it. And I was surprised.
Sure.
Yeah, it was a biggie.
Yeah.
Ready for the next speaker?
I think I'm going to suggest before we let Gary start, he's already got some great stuff, but why don't you describe what you want to on your stuff?
All right. Well, those of you that watched the TechSIG last week, I guess, we went down and pretty much did what I'm doing today, except that we had a handheld USB microphone, wireless. Jeff was there, and Gary was there, and Sean's online and was with us, obviously. And it was a nice room, by the way. I even suggested we think about it for us, but I don't know if we could get in there. So I used the USB mic and passed it around. And it was good as long as you were with the person who was talking.
I attended that from my place, and I didn't have time to set up like this computer with the webcam. I had been out doing other stuff, got home late, and just used the desktop without a camera. and I had a tough time hearing. Sean was holding the mic and he would point it to somebody, but it was too far away, and so I only heard about it.
So this will probably show up, yeah, this microphone will show up on the screen. If I just get myself steady. And you'll see that it's on a monopod. And we had used this microphone at last month's TechSIG, but I only had it sort of on a clamp that I could clip to something.
A swivel, like you
A swivel, yeah. So I decided, okay, I'm going to buy a monopod on Amazon. And I'll just move this all the way away from the screen. You can see I have it about 2/3 extended now. And I didn't realize that a monopod is really designed for this end, the hand end, to have camera video on. And the end that I have the microphone on right now actually had a spike on the end of the bolt. And the spike would then go into the ground. You would mount your camera. So you would have it like this, and you would have your camera up here.
Could you just use a selfie stick?
Well, I probably could have used a selfie stick, but this is a lot more substantial actually in terms of strength than many of the selfie sticks. So I figured, okay, I'll just saw off the end of the, and I got out my hacksaw from the garage and I started sawing. And an hour later I called Paul and I said, help. So we went over to his house a couple days later, and I guess it was it's a case hardened bolt, and that's what you would call it. They didn't want that bolt, that head to come off. So Paul was able to cut the spike off of that area right there. And then it fit right through the fitting and the screw works. So we'll see. I've been watching. I have a little indication, even talking from behind the mic right now. I have a little indication on the screen that the microphone is picking us up. And we're going to try Jeff, who's about halfway across the room, and it's his turn. And we'll see how well he's doing. The camera, I described at the iSig. Last month, I just had a webcam. So I went through two camcorders, both of which are called V-Log, V-L-O-G, camcorders. And then most of them will say stream on YouTube, Facebook Live, things like that. So the first one I got was around $45, and this one was $100. And the first one really didn't work at all. And obviously I can't have the camera take a picture of itself unless I turn on the video that's on the notebook to take a picture of the camera. But yeah, there's a couple of them up there on the screen. I don't know how well that screen is coming through. It's what I see is it's mostly just bright. But if you search V-Log cameras on Google, they'll show up. Most of them show a microphone on top. This does have a hot shoe on the top of it, and it did come with a microphone that didn't work. And I was going to send it back to exchange it for a microphone that did work, and I found out this particular model wasn't in stock anymore. And I just said, I got a camera that works. Now, when you're dealing with a $100 camera, and I see somewhat $699, yeah, that's a Canon EOS. Digital camera V-Log on the right-hand side looks like a camera with a screen on top of it. There's a lot of them. But when you go into the webcam mode on these cameras, you lose all the normal control that you have on a camera. You lose the zoom, you lose the focus, you lose the f-stop. If you unplug it from the computer, it goes back into its normal camcorder mode, has an SD card that it records on, and you have all the features. So if we go on a trip or something like that and I want to record movies, I may, give it a try. But it seems to be a nice camcorder. Yeah, there's a zoom, and there's all kinds of stuff back and forth. But like I'm on the screen right now, and this is the zoom in and zoom out, and also what you can't see online is it does have a nice screen on the side, but the screen, as I'll rotate this around slowly, you know, it's going around the room, but you'll notice the screen just have a tiny little icon in it.
Oh, when you're-
It's just saying you're in, it says you're in the webcam mode.
Oh, so if you unplug it, you would see it.
I would see it, yeah.
Oh, cool.
And it does, you know, it rotates around, which is nice. So for $100 camera, okay, it just would be, so what would it take then to have a fully functional camcorder
when you're
that
streaming.
also will stream? So I looked for that and I found a Canon that was in this same sort of form factor, and it was around $400, $399.99, something like that. So I just said, you know, I've invested enough in this project.
Yeah.
And
If
it
you
works.
worked in streaming mode, you would have Zoom, f-stop.
With the Canon, that's correct.
Oh, no. But
No, not with this
Oh.
in the streaming mode.
So what does the vlog mean? What does it give you?
Video logging, I guess. I assume so. Does it? Yeah, it says vlog on the, click on the right one, Stan.
The video function?
There is an HDMI out, mini HDMI out. So vlogging camera for YouTube, 2.7K. That's an interesting resolution. 24 megapixels, Ultra HD, Wi-Fi camera, 3-inch rotation.
Okay.
So, and that's $100 also.
Pretty good rating.
So that, but that wasn't there when I looked a couple weeks ago. So these things come and go very quickly. Mini SD card, all kinds of interesting things. China's, yeah, well, the prices are going to go up too here next week, Monday, whatever, as they start applying the tariffs. But I think we have a solution right now if we continue doing this. I think for meetings like this, I'll continue to use this little mic, which I like. And then if we continue to record the main meetings, using that USB mic is good for a speaker who will share his screen and the program that he's going to talk to. And he'll either use your computer and talk to it, or he'll bring his computer and log into Zoom and share his screen.
I got a question because I can't see your screen, Mike. When you move that camera around, how quickly is it responding? I know the internet speed here is slow.
As I do this, let's see. Well, I've lost my video.
What is it?
You had to ask.
Oh, jeez.
You had to ask. Okay, it looks like I've timed out on my video, and of course nobody's telling me, hey, Mike, no video. So
No video.
yeah, Mike, no video. So what I have to do, I guess, is unplug the plug. It probably timed out after an hour.
When in doubt, reverse.
Plug back in,
Reversal.
choose the PC cam, and okay.
So how is,
And
ask them how the video is. They can type it.
well, I've lost my icon here too. So, oh, start video. There we go. Yep, there we go.
There it is. It's back.
Thank you, John. And I found where the speaker is on this thing too.
So Sean, how's the video on your side?
Oh, video's great.
Oh, that's nice. I used to,
It's good, and there's no real delay or lag as far as the internet.
Oh,
It's jerky.
I was curious about that, yeah.
I think it's totally acceptable.
The bandwidth seems to be holding.
Nice.
It's a mono.
Monopod. I've got so much stuff occurring at the same time of the year. My car insurance, my homeowner's insurance. We're doing trusts and wills and just too much stuff. The insurance company that I've been using for a couple of years wanted to go up incredibly. So I use a Brightway, I guess there's an agent who's been very helpful to me for years. He came up with another company, and they had a little wrinkle. They need to do an inspection of the house. And one of the things that they do is they don't have to go into the attic. They had a monopod that was like 25 feet with a camera device on the end of it, except that he controlled it from his cell phone. And so he took a lot of pictures of the roof of the house, did not not part of that policy. Anybody got a good company? I've gotten a range anywhere from like 1,000 up to 2,500 to replace a 30 breaker electric panel in my house. So if anybody's got any good suggestions, I could cut that down.
I'll let you know. He just put in three services for me.
We did it last year.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about the one on the outside of the house because that almost never catches on fire. But there are many insurance companies that if you have, Sylvania is what I have. Federal Pacific is another one. And those, they're Home Depot one time told me that to replace the breaker in mine would be more like $75 as opposed to 20.
Federal doesn't even have UL approval anymore. They're so bad.
Thing about federal, the first recall you will have on a federal panel will be by the fire department.
That's right, because those breakers don't trip.
Some of you know my friend Stan Levitt. He owns a condo and it had a Federal Pacific panel that just 3 weeks ago, the air conditioning, aluminum wiring and the Federal, it melted and it took the condo panel out on the unit above him. So he's looking at, I think, $6,000 to remodel a 2-bedroom condo, plus the air conditioning, plus the panel. And I think the condo might be worth $50,000. And I think he's underwater to the point where he owes $100,000 on it. So I think he's probably just going to walk away. Yes. Yes, Gary.
Okay, well, actually, you're pointing the camera at Gary, but actually it's Sean Kane. So if you want to point, I'm going to switch, and he's got some videos that he sent me. So I'm going to see if I can switch HDMI cords. Sources here. Source.
Oh, you already plugged in?
Yeah.
I didn't see you do it. Do we need the speaker on this?
I should be on.
If he's on HDMI, he's got the HDMI speaker on.
You're on 2 and I'm on 1, right?
Yes.
Okay, searching.
It should pop there.
Okay.
Only one of the videos has any sound, and it's not anything to listen to.
Okay, there we are. So this is from Sean from his security cameras.
Can you make it full screen?
I don't think I can an email. Nope.
Okay. This was taken last night.
Okay, we got other noise going on here.
That's full volume.
Yeah. Okay. This is video 1. So here's a suspicious person.
Like he went. Is that live?
No, this was last night. Okay. Yeah. So
3:10 in the morning.
video 2 is here. Okay.
Yeah, it's like the one I got.
Really got tested in your car? Sure.
But there's the element.
Yeah, you tried them, yeah. Hold on.
Okay.
Son of a.
So
That other car is less than a week old.
Why didn't the alarm go off?
okay, here's
There isn't an alarm. That's going to change.
No alarm? Okay.
here's video 3.
There's an alarm on them, but he didn't open the doors.
Can you get a still off of that?
He tried. What was that?
Can you get a still from that? In other words, with him moving, the scan rate's not high enough to be able to identify him.
Here's video 4.
Ask Stan what camera
What if I can go?
system, ask Stan what camera system he's using.
Okay, here's
Sean, right.
I hear the sound now.
Sean, which cameras are you using?
What cameras are you using?
Those first three were the Lx cameras, and this last camera with the sound is a Unify.
No,
No, it's coming from
I
the
can't.
email.
This thing doesn't want to. Oh, maybe it will now.
Okay.
You want to repeat what those cameras were, Sean?
Yeah, the first one, the first three rather, are the Lx cameras, the FLIR, and then that last one is I'm mounted on the front of the house where there's no light, and that's the only light that we're getting there is from the infrared basically, and that's a Unify camera. So I posted in our blog that I just ordered a driveway alarm, and that'll be in tomorrow or the next day. I'll mount that on the side of the house, and when the beam is broken, it'll ring a bell in our room. So I'll be awoken when somebody walks up the driveway in the middle of the night, and we'll get the cops right then. So it's troubling to wake up and find an email with a picture of somebody that's been walking up your driveway at 3 in the morning. This, I don't know if you guys, y'all are
On
aware.
that
but
video, can you get a still, Sean?
Sure.
Yes. Yep.
Is it sufficient to identify the person?
We gave it to the cops, and but we don't know who it is. And we tried to get prints off the car, and it was wet. I don't know if you know, but it rained last night. At least downtown it did. And then in the morning, there's always dew this time of year, so they weren't able to get any prints off of the element. But yeah, pretty disturbing. It's a common thing in downtown Orlando for people to walk the streets and just see what doors are open on cars, and then muck around through your car to try to find change or money or whatever. So we always, of course, keep our cars locked.
Did you download the video to a thumb drive to save?
I downloaded it to my computer, and then we texted it over to the police via text. The guys or the lady that came, the police officer that came, my wife sent it to her via via like a SMS text. So, but on to happier notes, that new vehicle to the right of or to the left of the Element is a 2019 Honda CR-V, and it has all the features that Ken was talking about. And it's kind of there's actually hidden things that are customizable on the Hondas. For instance, nowhere in the manual does it talk about it, but you can have the parking brake automatically set every time you put it in park and turn the car off, which I think is kind of a cool feature if you're wanting to have I always use the brake on my stick shift cars, and I like having the brake on even in an automatic so that there's even if you're on a little bit of an incline, you're not putting any pressure on the transmission. So that's kind of a cool thing. And that entertainment system is actually an Android operating system in the background that runs it. And even though I have Apple phone, the Apple CarPlay runs on the Android Entertainment Center there that we have in our cars, Ken.
Well, you got the two buttons, one for Apple, one for Android, right?
Yeah, and of course I have an Apple phone, but it works with either.
Okay,
but the operating system of the Entertainment Center is actually an Android OS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and there's actually you can dig down in there, and you can join it to your Wi-Fi for updates, which I've done. And there's actually even a setting in there where you can have it configured to use a VPN. Which I was shocked to see that kind of detail in there.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever do that. I did have it joined to my network, so I can get updates if necessary. But I too am very pleased and surprised at all of the. That Element is 15 years old.
Well, yours will become a hotspot too, right?
Mine does not. No, that's an
does.
Odyssey thing. Yeah. With that being said, I don't think I would ever. I don't think I would ever need that feature because my cell phone has that feature if I ever really did need it. So kind of cool, especially if you have kids or family, you're going on a family trip and several people in the car want to do that. But yeah, great vehicles, and it drives so much better. I mean, the technology is just, and I drive from Orlando down to Disney every day, and of course the traffic on Interstate 4 is always fun. So using that cruise control with the automatic braking and the radar cruise control is a completely different experience, because I sit there with my feet flat on the floor. The car slows down, speeds up. It'll come to a complete stop if necessary.
Will
And
it?
then I
I
just
didn't
hit
accept that.
it will. And when it's time to go again, it doesn't automatically go. You just have to press resume on the cruise control, and it just it'll just take off.
No,
Or you can
yeah.
tap the gas, either one.
Well,
But
another interesting thing about it is, the old ones used to quit at 35 or a little below. You can set this with 25, it'll work.
yeah, 25. The cruise will work at 25, but it's full range cruise control. If you have it set at 25 or 50 or whatever, it'll adjust the traffic and will come to an absolute complete stop if necessary.
Amazing.
And it's called low speed follow. So if the traffic's going 10 miles an hour and you have cruise on, it'll still do it. And then as traffic progresses and speeds up, it'll speed up to either the cruise speed or as fast as traffic will allow. So
Amazing.
yeah, it's great. Yeah, and I think almost all manufacturers have it now, but I know for a fact that the Honda implementation is excellent. I did also, I think last time I was there, I talked about possibly getting a Toyota RAV4, but it turns out that the option sets that we wanted, it was ridiculous the prices that Toyota was charging. So we went ahead and got the Honda instead. And if we wanted leather for a comparable Toyota, it would have been an extra $5,000. So yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah,
So,
they had leather was $1,200 more on this car, on the
yeah.
Odyssey,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
and
ours
the
was
nav was another
I guess,
1,000.
yeah, we didn't get the nav, but we did opt for all-wheel drive. So just I have experienced in front-wheel drive cars in the rain. If you need to accelerate quickly, they will spin. And it rained last night, and I tried to spin them, and I couldn't. So anyway, so that's pretty much all I've got. I thought those videos are pretty interesting, and we'll take additional steps to have an alarm.
Interesting on your video that this guy is an idiot. He is testing on both of your cars the passenger side, which is most likely going to be locked instead of the driver's side.
That's true, and I bet you anything, as he's walking up that driveway, he did not expect floodlights. So
No,
I figured
he didn't
he was
stop.
committed. He was committed as he was walking up the driveway, but
He was
I don't.
shuffling. He was old, so what do you expect?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, he looks like I would say he looks like he could be in his early 60s, maybe. So
I'm still puzzled. How is Sean getting? Did he send you an email with this, or?
Yes, these are my emails. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
The first one
Yeah.
came in the TechSIG email, but then I said, he's got 3 more. And I said, well, just send it to me directly instead of through the TechSIG, through the Central Florida. So anyway, I'll start now if you're done, Sean.
I'm done. Thanks, Gary.
Okay, so I'll start with a question first. In my shop, I have multiple TVs, and they all have multiple Roku boxes or Amazon Fires and all this. But what I'd really like would be to have one TV running on a Roku or whatever device, but I'd like to have all the other screens playing the same thing. Is there some kind of a TV server that I can share all the screens? You know, the sound system's loud enough on
Sam's have them, don't they? You
What?
see all the screens doing exactly.
the screen to show up on multiple TVs. So if I'm looking this way, I can see it. If I'm looking this way, if I'm walking all the way to the other end of the shelf.
It's a video distribution amplifier.
Something
That's
like
what you want.
We do that at my company for corporate reasons.
Okay.
I work in a big call center. I do IT there, but and I had to actually fix this computer once.
Okay.
But it is the computer that they have multiple screens all over so that they can broadcast things to the people that work there.
Right.
And it's all from one computer. It's not even a server. And then they have a box that they have multiple feeds. Now, I don't know how the rest of it.
I want that
I can check. I don't even know who manages that. It was in one of the managers' offices.
Well, like here's the thing. When I work in broadcasting and you have video distribution boxes, you're working with straight video, analog video. The output out of a Roku box is that it's the HDMI. So I don't know what.
An HDMI splitter.
Right, you need some kind
Not
of
splitter because it's just
you need an
HDMI distribution.
right. You need some kind of HDMI distribution box. I don't know.
Yeah, but wait. There is one Roku unit that has HDMI, but it also has the phono plugs, the yellow plug and the red and the white. So look online for that. There is a Roku that has that option.
Yes. Yeah, I've got the Ultra, and I really like the Ultra Roku. But okay. Okay, we're getting close. That was my question. So now I have something to share, I guess. So, are you switching?
I'm going to try.
No. Oh, well, I wasn't done.
But he's going to show you.
Oh.
$132 for stereo audio.
Audio, no.
Video splitter, $66.
Well, I don't want to split. I want to distribute.
Yeah, distribution.
Oh.
1 and 4 out splits.
VTech 4-way.
1 input, 4 outputs.
That's perfect. DVI. So that's DVI. DVI. Wait a minute. That's DVI. We want RCA composite.
HDMI.
Well, RCA would be above that at 132. And if you keep looking, I'm sure there's you'll find others that.
Yeah, I don't want to switch. I want a distributor.
That's a
different.
Buy more TVs.
That's different.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah, that's
Swap
different
one.
units.
Swap one screen. The other direction. I can't, I guess.
Okay.
Sometimes just thinking of what to look for.
Yeah.
There's no terminology.
I think they were going to say what you were saying.
Oh, I just have a question before I forget it. Does Microsoft have any plans, or does anybody know if there are any plans for upgrading Windows 7 at a reasonable price after the end of the year?
Windows 10.
Well,
We run, like a lot of corporations, we're running Windows 7 and we're racing the clock to get our computers upgraded. We're going to Windows 8.1, but the struggle is there's no upgrade because you had to have had Windows 8.1 to even get the free one when 10 came out. And that was only good, for about a year? So now
expensive method because I have 10 different machines that need upgrading.
Why do you have to upgrade?
They're all 7s.
Why do you have to upgrade?
Because there will be no updates.
Windows 7 is dead come January.
Yeah.
It's
But
dead.
it'll still run on your computer.
It'll
There's
still
just no
run.
support for it.
There's no support, no.
Security will be going down,
It's
down,
already-
down.
You have to have high security on all of those systems, like banking and?
They are in an accountant's office.
Oh, it's a business.
Yes.
Then he should really look at. Uh, updates and things like that come out. A lot of people are opposed to doing that because Microsoft support is kind of expensive. I used to be a Microsoft reseller, so.
So the hardware that's running 7, running 10?
Yes.
Oh, well, many cases.
And typically Microsoft has a program that you can run that will tell you if you're running, for instance, software, and especially in places like attorney's office, dentist's office, where they have proprietary,
We have one Windows machine and they're already with the same software.
Yeah. So even for a small company, now it's been, because I work for a corporation now, and it's been 10 years since I've sold Microsoft licensing. And I'm sure, they change it all the time. But, to look at their volume licensing, that's usually the best thing for a business.
I don't really have a business. I have one client left.
That client is a business though, right?
Right.
So they would be buying a license, and then the volume license is typically, because you're, buying volume, they can look at software assurance, which is Microsoft's support. And that's where my company has, fallen into it. We dropped our support, which means when new versions come out, now you got to pay for it again, rather than, paying for support.
So nobody in the room knows any other methods.
Yeah, if you're using Microsoft, you're kind of locked into what they have.
They're not gonna give that currently.
Yeah.
You killed off that
Yeah.
10.7.5.
And you figure their operating system and Microsoft Office, that's their bread and butter.
So we've got a lifetime Microsoft Office license,
But I would look at volume licensing, because unless they've changed it, the minimum was always like 5 licenses. Now, the caveat is that I haven't looked at that. Even with my own company, I used to handle the licensing, but I haven't done that for like about 2 or 3 years. And that could change. But if you go onto the Microsoft site and just, look under volume licensing, they'll give you all the rules. And because you're buying in volume, as a company. Now, they're not big enough, to where, you get up there and you're talking to thousands of licenses, you can negotiate, but, on a small company, that's usually the best way. And I used to deal with, Microsoft site and, search for resellers in the area. That's, how a lot of people get business.
I'd suggest Palm Tree Computers in Oviedo because they do individual offices. Obviously they do individuals, but they also serve companies. And just give them a call and say, I need X number of licenses for a company. What can you do for me?
I wonder about Refresh Computers in Longwood.
Refresh in Longwood too.
That's what I'm thinking, because they deal in such large volume of those units that they've refurbed, and they're authorized Microsoft.
Now, so they may do OEM. make money selling the software, because they're not going to go out and buy it retail and put it on. They're going to buy it through Microsoft, because
What about,
Myself out of the business.
touching base with Patrick? What about touching base with Patrick on the Microsoft reselling? Yeah.
He does handle Microsoft product. You don't know Patrick. He's
That's
been here
what I
that
was
often.
mentioning. He's a regular attendee here, but he's not here tonight. He has a store that he resells product, both Microsoft and Mac.
On Howell Branch Road.
Yeah.
He does PC.
Oh, Max, M-A-C-X.
Max Orlando.
They are running fine. They're in an air-conditioned, clean air office. So they don't have any heat problems, and we haven't had a failure.
if they're 3 years old, then they should be, because computers that were Windows 8 were compliant.
Yeah, they're fine.
So the volume license, if any of these companies, members, they can get a volume license.
Substitute, take your 10, and exchange it for 10 with 10, Windows 10 at a reasonable cost. Take yours, exchange, whatever. I mean, that's the type of thing that they seem to do. Refresh computers. Have you been there?
Not yet.
Okay, I'll talk to you about it. But I think that may be an option.
Off the server.
Sometimes it's hard to get users to do that.
I used to do that.
I'm out of building an airplane.
We got another airplane built. You got to talk to Tom right there.
He says you'll fly with me.
All right, we need to go back to Gary.
Yes.
Let
Well,
Gary.
when I was in Tulsa users group up there, the computer group, some of the guys there, America Airlines is huge up there. I mean, they have like 14,000 employees or something. And one day, a Microsoft auditor knocked on the door, and he did an audit. Anyway, I make stilts for a living, and most of them are made out of aluminum. And I had bought this machine. It's called a Shipoko, and they require a trim router. That yellow thing is a trim router to drive the tool bits. And usually a router is like 3 inches in diameter. But I was on Amazon, and the problem with routers are, even if they're variable speed, they normally like to run at like 30,000 RPM. And if you get okay, those of you that have the pattern. So if you got a muscle car and you redone the dashboard, you would do that, and then you put all your little gauges and stuff on it. I actually saw a Harley that was, the entire body was engine turned like that. And normally when I do get the aluminum from Alcoa, it comes with sort of a grayish dull finish on it. And then I have to use like a brush on it on a milling machine. And then the milling machine's not long enough. So there's all this hassle about having to flip it and do one half on one side, one half on the other, and flipping it. And anyway, I was on Amazon, and the problem with these routers are 10,000's too fast. But on Amazon, I found this, there it is. It's called an air-cooled spindle. And it goes from 0 to 12,000 RPM. It comes with this, the spindle that's air-cooled. It comes with the electronic box that drives the motor. It's got the clamps. It's got a whole bunch of these, it's called ER11 collets, and that's what the collet looks like. And there's sort of a lookup, the back side of the electronics. Now where it says 0 to 10 volts, I connected a pulse wave modulator. You know what that is? Okay, just a little. Here. Was a chore, but then I had bought, I told you guys I had bought a 3D printer. So I made this little adapter that's 2 inches on the inside, 3 inches on the other side. Just dropped it into the machine, dropped the spindle in there, tightened those 2 screws, and I was in business. So I'd also been experimenting with different bits. This is an aluminum oxide brush. I can pass that around. It doesn't seem to be wearing at all. But I got some videos too. So the aluminum normally comes, and so yeah, I'll pass them around. So now my stilts are going to have engine turning, and Universal Studios just ordered $50,000 worth of stilts for the end of the year. So they're going to get all these stilts with this engine turning. They're going to look nice. They're going to be beautiful.
That's not visible, is it? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Inside your pants.
Well, it doesn't matter because it's, yeah. And here, do you want to see the brush? Yeah. Okay. And that brush goes into a quick twist lock. You know, if you could screw in a light bulb, you screw that thing into this little thing, and oh, I got some videos. Okay.
Oh, do they? Because I know you showed us a lot of videos, you know, last year, and for some.
Well, they had their fans.
That was America's Got Talent.
But he's upping his quality appearance,
Yeah,
so he can charge more.
When they get delivered, this is what they look like. Yeah. So here's a little
They're
picture.
paying for it.
Okay, here's the brush in action.
The brush didn't weigh down.
No. They're only $6 each. So I don't have to prepare the aluminum at all. I can just I don't have to do the polishing to get rid of the mill finish. I can just do this.
Yeah, is that automated or you have?
sample, but this is all happening today. This is not any. This happened today. Okay, so yeah, so. Yeah. So,
You could have tea and cookies for us?
Cookies, yeah. Hamburgers.
Well, it says.
Oh, I saw this. I was at a Winn-Dixie. I thought that was kind of fun. Cup holders in the shopping carts.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Lucky's Market.
Really?
Has them so that when you buy your beer for $2 for a pint or a glass of wine, you can put it in your cart while you're shopping.
I just thought that was just too much. Oh, there it is. There's that 3D printed part. Now the 3D printed part that I passed around, that was version 1. Then I went to a version 2, and then I went to version 3. And version 3 is like beautiful. I had to use a belt sander on that, and I had to hack on it because it was oversized. And so I had to, so that's why it's really ugly looking. But the finished one that's in my machine right now is just smooth and polished and beautiful looking. But that's what it looks like. Oh, there it is up close. So there's the spindle in the clamp.
Now, what does that do again?
There's a,
Put some polish marks on.
No, I know what the whole unit does.
But
It's just that's the collar
that's the collar that I passed around. There it is in the clamp of the machine, because there's an inch difference in size, and I just can't, you know, wrap duct tape around it or anything.
Oh, yeah?
Because it is air cooled, and works good. I tested on a regular milling machine to make sure that little brush worked at 1,000. And when I determined that, then it was funny that the people that I was doing tech support and called them, and he says, well, you sent us that Amazon link about the air spindle, the air cooled spindle. He says, we just bought one. He says, I think you're onto something. So anyway.
What's a stall torque?
Huh?
What's a stall torque? You know on that?
I have.
Thank you.
No, and I had a friend that tried to sell wooden stilts on Amazon, and he had yeah, but he says you have to send them such a quantity, then it has to sit on pallets there, and then there's all this money that's lost, you know. So did you get the brush?
Yep, I got all the parts.
Good. Yeah, it's not a neat little brush. I've used lots of little tools for polishing, but they don't work, you know. It's like rubber with aluminum oxide.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's rubber.
Yeah, it's impregnated with aluminum oxide. Yeah.
It's neat that someone even come up
Reason
with
I asked
that.
about the stall
Yeah.
torque.
Well, they have them on Amazon, but Amazon's is 2 and 3 inch.
Postcode model.
And you have to program it to do that. I had to do a little G code.
Yeah, I guess I was going back to a more like a wood router that you would.
Well, that is a wood router normally that's installed in these machines. Usually you buy the machine, it's a kit, comes with 100 parts, and you got to assemble the whole thing, and then you go to Home Depot and you buy your own router.
Yeah.
But do you guys think it's going to look a little nicer now?
Very nice.
I just,
You can add at least a few more bucks on that.
I think so. I think I
You
should.
can't raise the price on your existing order though.
No, no, next year.
Arvin might like that.
There'll be a, next year, 2020, there's going to be an engine turning surcharge.
I declined it.
Oh, he likes it.
Yeah, if you Google engine turning, you'll see engine turning on, I mean, microscopic engine turning on watches, watch heads, and oh, man.
Yeah, the first time
Very
I saw
nice.
that, it's on the cowl of the Spirit of St. Louis.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Very nice.
Okay. Who's up next?
I have an update on this. Everything is afraid.
No, that's not a phone.
Oh.
I don't know what it is.
But-
I got a speaker.
Like a speaker and a mic.
When I got it back, I felt something rigid, with my thumb. So I took a picture of it with my phone. When I try looking at the YouTube video, I don't know, it takes me to some guy whose name is Dujardin, and I don't know what he is, some tennis player or something, I don't know what. Anyway, so I'm at the end of that, but at least I have a name for it. So.
It's like something that a kid would put on a bicycle with a speaker and a microphone.
Yeah, it looks like the clamp is for a bicycle.
Yeah, I didn't hear.
Handlebars, yeah.
Yeah, the handlebars. Then you have a microphone
Yeah,
and a speaker.
all
and
the
something
other
on
kids
it.
get out of the way when he comes out.
Or like the dynamite, you know?
When you push down on that, on the glass part down the bottom, a little flag pops up in that black part.
Yeah.
Push that.
As usual.
Is that the dollar store? No, it isn't.
All right, where are we?
Here,
Okay, Jeff.
RCA.
I'll stand up so that makes the microphone, your arms must be getting tired by now. Some of you know that I work in a medical setting, and I get mailings from different places all the time, particularly for emergency kinds of stuff. Anyway, I got in the mail something today I thought was kind of interesting for several reasons. First of all, I think it's the world's smallest VR viewer. It was free, came from a company called Zoll, which makes monitors and defibrillators and things like that. But basically, it's I'll pass. They can actually put their hands on things, or as opposed to simulation. This one I wasn't even all that really impressed with. I think the company, I'm pretty sure about this, the company that actually makes this little device is the same company that Google uses for their Google Cardboard, if you're familiar with that. Because in this little instructions, it's a Japanese company, it's Homido. Anyway, they refer to the same, they mention Google Cardboard, and they have the same little QR graphic that you use to program, to put it on the, to sync it, I guess is the word. Anyway, there are some problems one they wanted me to use, which I just should have gone by the name of it rather than reading what was on the App Store. And I'm not sure what you call this. And some of you, it's like a 360-degree photo technique where as you move it, you see more of the picture. But it was really kind of annoying because when I could look at the video without the glasses, I could see so much more of it than I could see with the glasses. But anyway, I'll pass this around. You can take a look at it. I just thought some of you might have been interested in it if you're familiar with the Google Cardboard, the company that actually makes. You calling me?
Did you try it out yet?
I did try it.
Marvin, you can unmute your microphone and you can ask your question. I've got a speaker on this thing.
Like 10 or 15 seconds, it freezes and then it starts working again. So in my microphone, I couldn't talk to you or anything else. So I kept calling everybody in there to try and get somebody to just leave their phone on so I can hear what's going on.
Well, they're hearing you now, so.
Yeah, I hear you.
No, I mean, they're hearing you too, because I got it on.
Can you just put your phone down and let me listen for a while? Or?
That's what I've done. So you should be able to hear. I wasn't going to bring this up, but since Paul did, I'm going to at least, I don't want to reopen the discussion, but I'm going to at least tell you what the device that I have does. I've heard several of you say you're on T-Mobile, and I was in the T-Mobile store. New driver. You can put it on your phone. I mean, put it on your car, and it helps with there's several features that you may or may not know that it has. It has the same ODB2 device that you plug into your car, and it does give you information on the codes. But this is some of the other things that it does. It has built-in GPS, which means that on the app, the Sync Up app, I can actually see where my car is. So if my wife or one of my kids takes the car, I can tell where they are. Or if somebody steals my car. I got an old car. It doesn't have any of these features like Sean's new car and your new car. But I can tell where my car is if the bad guys don't discover that I've got this thing plugged in there. What probably attracted me to it the most, because I'm thinking if it's sitting in a parking lot and somebody hits my car, I want to be alerted to that so I can run out there and see who it is and get their license plate number. It also, and this is one of the things that's probably going to have been the most practical thing that it does. And again, these are all things that have nothing to do with the giving you the code information, but it does do that too. Is it will give you all kinds of trip history. And particularly like if I was still having to, and I guess I could still be logging for like, taxes and that kind of thing, expenses, it will tell me all kinds of trip history, obviously distance and miles per gallon, things like that. But if I was not very good at keeping track of business trip. And it's really significant how much difference. Like I said, I got an old car. It doesn't get great mileage, but when I'm on the highway, I get double the mileage that I get in town for sure, because it's that much off on the engine itself. It has a built-in hotspot that gives me about 2 gigabytes per month of hotspot, which is at basically the same level of, because it has a little SIM card that does that. And I pay $10 a month for that on top of the regular cell phone bill I have. So it's really much more useful probably if you have a passenger, so that they don't have to use my phone as a hotspot, because I do use my phone and I've got unlimited data. So, but that's pretty helpful. And
they talked me into it too, and they didn't tell me until I left the store that they took one of my phone numbers off another device to run it.
oh, I got a new phone number for that. I don't even know what the number is because I've never had a phone number.
Well, I had a tablet that it's a real phone and I don't use it much, but she didn't tell me it had to use a phone number.
She does.
Yes, so that I wasn't happy. I took it back and I said, I want my phone number
Yeah,
back.
they didn't take any of my existing phone numbers because I guess I had plenty of allocation, but
Yeah.
but anyway, Sync Up is the name of that device, and they still sell it. In fact, it's a little bit less than it was. If I had to pay for it, I think it was over $100, and now it's like you pay for it over the course of 2 years, and it's like $4 a month. So $4 a month, and if you take the hotspot, $10, it's $14.
Well, you can buy a phone these days and they'll give you another one for free, but they don't tell you on the commercial. You have to have another line for that. That costs money.
Oh, okay, one more thing. We talk a lot about, video services and cutting the cord and all that. Something I discovered, I should have known this. Most of you probably do know this, but I live in Seminole. Those of you who live in Orange, our libraries have so many different things that they do that we don't take advantage of. But my wife and I were up in North Georgia, and we didn't have, Netflix or anything. We just wanted to watch a movie just that evening. And so we were basically it was on my iPad, and we watched that. It was completely downloaded to the device. I didn't need to have internet connection or anything because I just did it right there. It took looked like about 30 seconds. You could watch it kind of downloading it. And then, of course, it was on there for 7 days or whatever they allow, and then it just went away. And I will use that service some more because it was just way too cool. Is it 4? Okay, well, we only did the one, but we're going to only watch one that night. It was a fairly decent selection. Well, it's probably not a real, high resolution like you want to keep because you're only going to have it for the length of time they let you check it out. But, you download it and you just forget it. You watch it one time and it goes away.
On your iPad?
Yeah, I did it on my iPad. I would do it to a phone.
To my 60 or 70.
Well, I mean, depending on what you have at home that would allow you to interface your TV with your whatever device you have. But like in my house, I'm able to sit
Mr. Kizzy.
No.
That's close.
Yeah, it's right there.
There it is.
H-O-O-P-L-A.
I guess that
Well, it
website.
obviously isn't com, it must be org or net or something.
H-O-O-P-L-A.
Yes.
You might just do a search for that without all the extra stuff.
Try org or net. Try org or net, not com.
Oh. Are terrible, and one of them, only $3,000, only 6 months old, it went, "Keek." The right one is back in the shop. It's under warranty. Man, this technical stuff is just wonderful.
HoopLineDigital.com.
But if you got Prime, you can download Prime.
The VA is willing to buy you.
We're out where we can't pick up anything a lot of times, and I got a bunch of movies downloaded on my iPad, so we can watch a movie, and I can run it to my Apple TV.
I got literally hundreds.
You can also
I'll make some notes and we'll try to pick that up.
I think it's because you have a dot between Hoopla and Digital. Maybe you took the dot out of it.
Orange County lets you have lots more books or movies at the same time, or in the same month. But I pay to belong to Orange because I'm in Seminole County, but I do a lot of research on investment stuff. And a lot of the programs that I get with Orange County would have cost me several $100s, and I pay $125, and I get to use all their facilities. If you're into flying, they even have you can go up there. They have all kinds of stuff up in Orange County that no other library has. If you're recording music, download it through them. So, and when we're going, when we're traveling a lot, we go more. Seminole County gives you 4 books, and Orange County gives you 10 books a month. So
You could read them.
huh? No, I'm not reading them.
They're a
They're
slow reader.
I'm not reading them. They just download to my phone, and then we listen to them on Bluetooth on the radio in the car.
You're on, Tom, so keep going.
Oh, the only other thing I had, we was out to Oshkosh, and they got this new ADS-B stuff in. It's actually it's better than radar, and you can track planes in and out and stuff like that. Anyhow, all I wanted to say about it was that there was an electronic company there. One of the, say ADS-B in costs you about $800, but they'll sell you all the parts, and you can make one yourself for $150. But their big deal is if you want one, you buy all the parts and then you pay them for $300, you could have them build you one. So you could save a lot of money if you're doing it. It was funny, all the different stuff that they could build with the electronics that you could, that's what they sell, the electronics for all kinds of radios for the aircraft. There was a lot of new technology there. It's just hard to believe, and I won't even get into that. But one other thing, if anybody wants an inkjet printer, I got 3 of them, and they all worked. And when they ran
I think one of them, no, I'm not sure. One of them might.
Got a brother?
Wider than 11 inches.
In fact, I have a,
No, not wider than 11 inches. They'll take the long paper.
I have an Epson printer that stopped printing, but it still scans if anybody needed a scanner.
I think I might be interested in that one. Yeah,
I just
got somebody that could use that.
don't use inkjets anymore because it, I'll use them a lot for a week and then they'll set for 2 weeks. Next time I go to use them, I got to run the little cleaner and all that other crap. And the one we have in the trailer, it might set for 2 or 3 months before I use it. And then I'm went 3 years and still got the beginning cartridge in it. And when in the summer we shut down for 4 months, so it sits there for 4 months, and when you crank it back up, it always works. When we had an inkjet, we spent by the time the season was over, we had the inkjet running almost. So I don't buy any ink printers at all. And the newer printers also have better connections, like for if you got an Apple phone or iPad, they have all the stuff built into where you don't have to put wires into them to print and stuff. And for me, that makes a big difference when we're traveling, because I might have that thing up in the top of a corner somewhere and there's a little plug-in up there, and I store it when we're traveling, and all I have to do is print it out and go pull it out of there. So
Don't you need a Wi-Fi environment to make that work?
Yeah.
you do, but someone give me a couple of the, what do they call them, mirror ports or
Apple extenders or?
no, Apple. Apple quit making them, but it makes your own Wi-Fi system. You can't download anything, but everything can read it.
Airport Express?
Yeah, Airport.
Express.
They don't make them anymore. And Sean gave me 2 of them, and they both work.
It's basically a modem. It's basically a modem.
Yeah, it's a modem. But you're not getting outside. All you're doing is just making it for all the stuff in your cabin. Huh? Or you can hook them up direct. I mean, actually, the printers have that all built in. I don't think you don't need it for the printers, because you could.
All printers don't have Wi-Fi. They do now, but not 2 years ago.
Only the newer ones have them. I mean, yeah, the old ones don't have them, that's for sure. Just makes it a lot easier. Or what's that?
Yeah, brothers.
Yeah, I bought 3 of them, and they're all still working. And the things you buy for them.
Need color, the black and the black laser, and I agree that Brother has the best deals out of it. I got one that I've been using for years with the same cartridge. I don't know how many thousands of copies it's done. It's working great.
The cartridges are about $45, but everybody sells them for about $15, and you can buy a $15 cartridge and last you 2 or 3 years. Even if you're using it a lot, I mean, it'll take up reams of paper and still be running. So,
All right, Jeff, excuse me. Bob Farney has a question he would like to pose to Sean about Fingbox.
Okay, except Sean is no longer.
Oh, Sean is
Sean says that the streaming just went south like 20 minutes ago.
And it's probably, it says it's recording, but it's probably the Wi-Fi.
Can you bring it up on the screen?
Fingbox, yes.
Well, unfortunately, is he on the phone?
Did you say string?
Fing.
Fing,
F-I-N-G.
Fing, he has talked about this.
Well, here, I don't know, 2 or 3 or 4 sessions ago, Sean brought up a Fing box. So Sean has a lot of knowledge, and I'm
I'm into it. So I went out and bought the first Fing box. Then I saw they had another Fing box now. I guess they're trying to, it's very similar. It has a little more capability. Ports on my computer somehow. And, oh, he's there?
Arvin says he has one. If you have some questions, he can answer.
Okay. It's a neat device. It'll tell you if something new enters the network, and if it's fraudulent, then you can kick it off. It's kind of neat. Sean wanted me to do some research on the new Fing box, and I didn't have a chance to do it. That's all I got. It's actually cheaper than it used to be. They're $99 now. You don't look at it every day, but if you want to go in and see what's going on in your network, everything connected, it'll tell you what's on.
Are you able to log are you able to log that activity that's going on?
I'm gonna
Keep a log so you can go back and search and look.
And it didn't migrate to the new one right away.
Can you monitor?
Yeah, I have, mine must be old.
Yeah, this
Mine
is,
must be old. I paid $115 for it, probably 2.5, 3 years ago, something.
right, this is the Fing box version 2 that I'm talking about. It's got the round dial in the middle of it instead of around the outer edge.
No, mine's got it around the outer edge.
Right.
Can you monitor bandwidth?
Yeah.
So I did like my internet provider, I can have a log of his bandwidth.
Well, I mean, it will tell you what your bandwidth is, but if you could,
So I can get like a graph, if I'm looking to. Anybody have a good program that I want to monitor Spectrum? I want to have a log. I want to go to Spectrum and say, look, this is what your bandwidth's been over the last couple of days. No, I want a log though. I want a log of it. I want to be able to get a graph of this is what the bandwidth's been the last week and see when it's way down and up and I know they have screen. They have an individual test. You can go and check speed. But I'm talking about there's an app. Is there? Okay. The record. Okay. Sorry, I was.
No, that's it. I just, Sean thought I was going to do some research and I just haven't had time.
Okay, and I'm going to cut the meeting because I'm constantly getting your signal is poor. The signal here at Denny's is degraded for whatever reason. So,
Hopefully it's recorded.
well, it is recording, but it may have broken up. Sean has left us too. Arvin, I see, is still in the meeting, but Arvin, I'm going to be stopping the meeting and stopping the video. So thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll put this up, send a link to the video as soon as possible.
Zoom is being